listen, hear the birds. Anyway, hi folks, thanks for joining me again. So today I just want to go through how to make simple rolls. I promised this a few videos back and it just didn't happen, so we're going to go through how I make my simple rolls, which go lovely with my vegan sausage and my tatty scones. So if you haven't looked at those two, check out those two videos together, the three together. Yummy, yummy, yummy. So let's crack on. So first things first, we're looking to measure out 500 grams of strong white bread flour. That's basically any bread flour with around 12 grams of protein, there or thereabouts. Next, add 2 teaspoons of easy bake yeast, also known as fast action yeast, basically the type of yeast that you can apply straight into your flour, no mixing with water to get it activated. And then we're going to add our salt. 1 teaspoon of salt is all that's required. And then 1 tablespoon of Italian seasoning, just to give it that nice little kick in the flavour. Give all those a quick mix together, either with a whisk or with a fork if you don't have a whisk to hand. Measure out 20 grams of unsalted butter, and if the butter's straight out the fridge, if that's where you keep it, you're going to have to pop it in the microwave just for a few seconds, 30 seconds, whatever, just to get it slightly soft, beginning to melt. It can get runny, but you don't want it too hot because that's going to affect the temperature of your fluids in your mix. In your measuring jug, add 200 millilitres of cold water, and to that we're going to add 100 millilitres of water boiled straight out the kettle. The ratio we're looking for is 2 to 1, and that should give us a temperature sitting somewhere between 38 and 43 degrees Celsius. If it's slightly over or under, you're going to have to just play with the hot water or the cold water accordingly to raise or lower the temperature. But 2 to 1 is your ratio, 2 parts cold, 1 part hot, and it generally gets you in that zone, and that's perfect for what we're looking for. Now that the butter's ready and our water's ready, we're going to start bringing together our dough. I have a machine, so I'll be doing it in my machine, but if you want, you can easily bring it together by hand as well. But I have the machine, so that's what I use. Now, once your butter's in, turn your machine on first before you put your water in, and it just helps the butter granulate into the actual flour, and then just gently pour your water in. Now, according to food mixtures, you're supposed to add the liquid first, but I've never really had any problems doing it the traditional way of putting all your dry ingredients in and then adding the liquid as we go. So once we've got all the liquid in and the dough's started to come together, we're going to knead this for 10 minutes in the machine. And once those 10 minutes have passed, we should have ended up with a nice smooth dough, a slight amount of tackiness, but not very much. We're then going to take our dough out of the machine, add it to either a floured bowl or either an oiled bowl. You can use either olive oil or generalised cooking oil, whatever you prefer, just to slick up the bowl and prevent any sticking to it. We then want to take and we want to cover our bowl and put it in a warm place to rise for 50 minutes. Now what I do is I actually often, for these basic rolls, I'll use my oven. Because what you can do is you can knock it on to 60-65 degrees before you put your bowl into the oven, turn it off and then put your bowl in there, and what it does is it promotes a little bit of a faster rise on your dough, which means we can keep it in there for 50 minutes and then bring it out. We've got a nice risen dough ready for these basic rolls. So now we're looking to find out how much dough we have and then divide that into 12 equal amounts. Now I tend to find I end up with rolls somewhere in the 67 to 70 gram mark with this recipe. If I've been really accurate, it's 67 to 68 grams, but if I've been a bit loose with my measurements, it can tip up towards the 70 grams. Now, I could show you me cutting up the dough 12 times and measuring it out 12 times, but that would be rather tedious. So let's just do this once and pretend. So with your hands, roll your 12 equal parts of dough into balls and then just press them down slightly. You don't need to go crazy, but you're just looking to flatten them out a wee bit into the more width you expect of your roll. We're then going to do exactly as we did before. We're going to take these into our preheated oven of that 60-65 degrees. Clack it off before you put them in. Don't forget to turn it off before you put them in, and then we're going to let them rise in there. So we're going to let these rise for 30 minutes in your oven. As I say, make sure you've turned it off if you're doing this fast rise method. And 30 minutes later, we should have lovely, nice risen rolls. As soon as your rolls come out the oven, whack it on and get it heating to 220 degrees Celsius. We're looking for a really nice hot oven as soon as they come out. I tend to leave my rolls covered until we've got the oven up to full preheat, but it's up to you, just in case any flies or whatnot get into your kitchen whilst you're waiting on your oven preheating. And to help promote a nice crispy outer crust to your roll, there's two things you can do. You can add some water to the bottom of your oven, either add that prior to starting to preheat your oven into a pan, or add it just before you put your rolls in. Whichever way is up to you, your choice. Safer to do it before you preheat your oven, but if you're happy enough to do it once your oven's up to temperature, you'll get a big blast of steam that way. The other thing you can do is spray the top of your rolls with some water, and that just adds a little bit of moisture, which again promotes the crispiness. This time round, I didn't spray the top of the rolls, I just put the water into the bottom of the oven. Most times I actually do both. Rolls, we're going to keep them in our oven for 10 minutes, and once the 10 minutes is over, we're going to bring them out and let them cool on a wire rack. Now, to help ensure that your rolls remain crispy on the outside, nice and fluffy on the inside, take your flour sackcloths or a tea towel if you don't have them and cover them whilst they're cooling on the rack. And that, I don't know why, but that for some reason helps improve what I've just talked about. And once your rolls are nice and cool, you just take them and store them. I've got my purpose bread bin. If you haven't, store them someplace dark, and then again cover them over with a cloth, flour sackcloth, tea towel, whatever you have, and it just keeps them nice and fresh for a few days. Easy rolls. So thanks for watching. Hopefully I'll be getting videos up more often. I am trying. I know there's been a huge gap, but hopefully they'll be coming.